When did your roommate's grief turn into something terrifying? My roommate Carrie started going on walks after her boyfriend died, and I figured exercise was good for grief. But after a month, things got weird really fast. First, she was taking these little walks around our apartment complex, maybe 20 minutes tops, just circling the buildings. Then they stretched into these rigid, hour-long routes through the whole neighborhood at exactly 5 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock at night, no matter what. She'd spring up from whatever she was doing, like someone yanked her with invisible strings. Her alarm wasn't even set, but she'd bolt awake at 4:45 and sit on the edge of her bed staring at nothing until exactly 5 o'clock. I tried talking to her about it over coffee one morning. This routine is getting pretty intense. Maybe you should mix it up or skip a day when you're tired. She gripped her mug so hard I thought it would shatter and said, "I can't skip, I made a promise." Then the weather stopped mattering completely. Light rain became her walking weather, then heavy rain, then actual thunderstorms with lightning cracking overhead. She'd come home drenched and shaking with leaves stuck to her clothes and mud caked on her shoes. Her mom visited last week and pulled me aside in the kitchen. She's just processing grief in her own way, and exercise is healthy, so let's not make a big deal about this. But Carrie wasn't even present during conversations anymore. She'd stare at the clock, getting more agitated as 7 o'clock approached. She stopped eating dinner with me, stopped watching our shows, stopped answering texts from friends. Everything revolved around those walks. One night during a massive storm with tornado warnings screaming from our phones, she headed for the door at 7 o'clock like always. I jumped in front of her and grabbed her shoulders. "Carrie, stop, this is actually dangerous, you could die out there, what is wrong with you?" She crumpled against the wall sobbing and gasped out, "She knows if I don't go, she tracks me, she'll know I abandoned him." The next morning while she showered, I did something I'd never done before and went through her phone. Her location was being shared with someone named Greta, and the text thread made my skin crawl. Hundreds of messages, all from the same number monitoring her every move. "You paused too long at Oak Street, keep walking, Victor is waiting." Another said, "That's not the right route. You know he wants you to pass the school." The most recent from 4:45 a.m. said, "Good morning, sweetheart. Wear his blue jacket today. The storms are going to be beautiful. He always loved lightning." I kept scrolling back and found worse ones. "You were 3 minutes late starting. Did you forget about my son already?" And, "If you don't walk his path every day, his spirit gets lost and confused. Is that what you want?" I was still reading when the phone rang in my hand. The caller ID said Greta. Without thinking, I answered it. "Carrie, darling, why haven't you left yet? It's 5:02. You know Victor expects you to honor your commitment." The voice was sweet and gentle, but somehow that made it worse. "This isn't Carrie," I said. "This is her roommate. You need to stop this right now." There was a long pause before she responded. "Oh, you're the one filling her head with doubts, aren't you? The one trying to make her abandon my baby boy?" Her voice shifted from sweet to ice cold. "I don't know who you think you are, but that girl made me a promise to keep my son's memory alive. She will not break it." "You're going to make her sick," I shot back, "or get her killed in these storms." "She'll die anyway without purpose," Greta snapped. "At least this way Victor knows his girlfriend actually loved him enough to remember his routines. Do you know what it's like to lose your only child? To have nothing left but the roots he used to walk? That doesn't give you the right to—" She cut me off. "I'm tracking her phone right now. She's still in that apartment. If she doesn't start walking in the next 60 seconds, I'm driving over there myself to remind her what she owes my son's memory." I hung up and found Carrie standing in the bathroom doorway, white as paper. She'd heard everything. "Pack a bag right now," I said. "We're leaving." We threw clothes into duffel bags and were out the door in 10 minutes flat. I drove us to my sister's place 2 towns over while Carrie disabled all her location services and started changing her passwords. Greta called 17 times before we even hit the highway. By the time we got to my sister's, she was texting from 3 different numbers demanding to know where Victor's girlfriend had gone. She never found out.